It's a Thursday today. Hope you're having a good day. It's a little drizzly out there. No, I didn't forecast for drizzle today. My wife, first thing this morning, said, "Hey, it's raining." I said, "No, that's drizzle." And then she said, "I think it's rain." I go, "No, that's drizzle." "Well, you didn't call for drizzle." And I'm like, "Yeah, didn't." That's the beauty part about this job. Like, literally, when I in television for forever, right? And when I first started, my deal is kind of like just to be as straightforward as I can and not try to demystify stuff. So when I started at Channel 2, which at that time was a blowtorch of a station, that was Dennis and Elaine Corral and Kevin O'Brien was still there and Mark Abanias. And I get on my first year and I made it one day, I was wrong. Ooh, go figure, a weather guy wrong, right? And so that's, of course, when we were wrong more because the models weren't as good. But I apologized on the air. And literally the next day, I called up to the GM's office and he goes, I just said, listen, on the air, I go, yeah, I didn't see it coming. I thought it wasn't going to rain or sprinkle. And it sprinkled. Anyway, so moving on, right? Which I think is the way to do it. But in the weather world, in the business of TV, he's like, hey, Bell, why'd you apologize? Don't show weakness. Don't show weakness. It's a newscast and people want accuracy, which is absolutely true, but I still to this day think when you're incorrect on anything, you cop to it, right? And being a meteorologist, I've been for 40 years. I've not always right. None of us are always right, and especially this science. So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. So Pam gave me a little bit of grief this morning. It's raining a little bit on the Oakland Coliseum, or drizzle. We'll look at the rainfall totals. We're going to look at the models, shows some interesting stuff, and we'll learn something today on the models, I think. I think we learned something yesterday, too. We're going to take a look at the surf around the state, and all the way, I think we're going to Nicaragua today. And we'll look at the eagles, and I think I've got some new alert cameras that you haven't seen before. So it's kind of an exciting day here in the Weather Center. One more thing I wanted to point out, I have to minimize my time, but see these? This is Oakland Coliseum, obviously, right? But these towers, these towers here, next time you drive by, I want you to look up at this tower too. There's another tower over here. I put, I do that baseball thing, weather applied metrics. And this was my beta test with the Oakland A's, Cavo, and those guys let me come in and put weather sensing equipment on these towers, right? Because that's the prevailing wind direction. And so we could monitor the winds coming into the stadium and then run it through our computational fluid dynamic models. And then that in turn runs through the computer animated design of the stadium and blah, blah, blah. It's really interesting. One day we'll get into it at length. We're contracted with Major League Baseball. It's awesome. But every time I drive by that tower, I see that anemometer on top. You'll see two of them. You'll see another anemometer at the very top here. But there's a story, man. Like that, there's a story because Oakland Coliseum is county. It wasn't owned by the A's, so I couldn't put sensors in the stadium. So I had to go to another party, outside interest, out front billboards, I think they're called. Called the guys and go, hey, listen, man, I need a solid. And it's like, I went out there one day and we climbed up there and strapped these things up there. And that was probably 7 years ago now. And every time, and then, oh, by the way, God, I should get right to weather, sorry. These trees over here, there's an Audi car dealership over here, or there was, and they let me put my receiving equipment in there. So these things would broadcast to the Audi dealership, and then they would bounce out to the Audi dealership, would bounce out, and then I had repeaters I put in these trees. I swear to God, I zip tied 2 repeaters into the trees so we could get the signal out from there. I know, it's awesome. Now we're like a real company. But back then it was so fun. It was just like being a cowboy. I swear to God. Okay, so a little bit of rain out there now. We'll talk about that. We should talk about that sometime. I forget. Okay, so rainfall accumulations. It is drizzle in my mind. But I get it. I didn't call for it, truthfully. But I know why it's happening, and we're going to see why it's happening as well. Just enough to wet the roadways. But look at who's the 0.13? I'm not buying that. Yeah, that's anomalous, right? So everybody's about see, I see the 0.13 here. I mean, if it's sitting around a bunch of 0.04 or 0.07, and then there's nothing even close to that, it makes me think it's anomalous. Although there is a hill there, right? So we'll see. Anyway, we'll look at it later on. These are the rainfall or drizzle accumulations. Now, what you'll notice is it dries up a little bit down the Central Coast, and then you get into some dynamics down here in Southern California where they got the same thing, but even more. And again, that 0.1, that almost 2 inches of rain out northeast of Long Beach, not a thing. But you can see, right? San Clemente, 0.04 up in the hills. Santa Margarita, 0.36. So a little bit of rain out there and drizzle. And here is why. I thought this was interesting. I was looking at this morning. So why didn't I see it? Well, number one, I'm tracking the low down here, right? So the dynamics are slight on our area. In other words, the high pressure weakens a little bit. So I certainly expected a deepened marine layer, lower temperatures, which we got. And then, so there's this guy. And then there's this guy. That's a low too. You see the rotation coming from the north. This is a warmer low. This is a colder low. And we are sort of just right in the middle here. And we just got enough lift, I think, to create the drizzle effect along the coast. And if this had come straight overhead, it would have rained. If this had come straight overhead, it would have rained, more like Southern California. But either way, it was just sort of like one of those, the drizzle's over soon. It's going to be a nice day, but cooler as you would expect, and then temperatures warm for the weekend. So, I don't know, that's kind of awesome. I want to show you this. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so this is Vorticity, GFS, big model, right? Big grid size, which is fine because we don't need to go too granular today. And I'll talk. Well, no, I'll get into that too. I have so many. My mind just gets going. I want to talk to you about drizzle and why the radar doesn't pick it up, but we'll do that another time. Okay. So here's the low now. Here's the low to the south. Here's the low to the north. And let's watch what they do. See, I'm going to toggle. So see them kind of merge together. This is tomorrow morning. Clears out. See that ridge building in that? See this area here? That's the ridge, kind of tilted ridge, but it's a ridge, which means tomorrow's going to warm. Sticks around until Saturday night. This is Saturday afternoon. And then this little wave comes through, right? And you're like, oh, what's that going to do? Maybe that's some rain. Well, we'll see in a minute why it's not going to be. And then you see more activity, like, ooh, a lot of stuff kind of just glancing to the north. And why isn't that going to bring us rain? The other thing to notice, too, is if I go backwards, you see, watch the Midwest. See the Midwest right here? See in here? So that system, this is upper air, jet stream, and vorticity. But see that now, those are dynamics. Now, remember what we know about dynamics? You need fuel to go with the dynamics. So even though you've got lift in the atmosphere or shear or whatever you got going that's going to create instability in the upper atmosphere, in lower atmosphere, you need moisture, a fuel source. And motors don't run unless they have a fuel source. So what we see here is today's drizzle, and then a couple nice days, and then we see this thing breaks the warmth on Sunday morning. And then it kind of stays like, oh, it's going to rain. Oh, it's going to rain. It's going to rain. Now, here's why the models, see, that looks like rain too. They're way down the road. Here's why the models are staying a little bit clear of it. Our old friend, precipitable water, right? And so we know what this is. This is surface sea level all the way up. So it's the depth of the precipitation available. Okay, so looking out west, I'll circle us. So here is today. And then can you see the low a little bit? You can see both. See the brown see the brown here? That's the cold low, dry air, right? It's cold air, doesn't hold, so that's the cold low. This is the more moist low coming from a lower latitude. So right now you see them both, right? See those air masses converging? So on that zone, you're going to see some rain, but for the most part, look at the lack of moisture available in California. Now see this band coming down? That's the band for Saturday night. But see how dry it is? That's why it's not going to rain or isn't forecast to rain. And see the brown? See how dry it is? Where's the moisture available? And remember, we had all that activity going to the north of us. Well, where's the moisture? It's very dry. So this is why the models, a little more moisture slides in on April 25th. And this is when things break a little bit. But that's all the way down the road. That's a ways away. Now I want to show you. So right now we know, right? Okay, I've got the dynamics, but you don't have the moisture. So it's not that simple, but it's that simple. So then we go, now we look out here. I wanted to show you, remember I showed you, let's look at the Midwest on the vorticity chart. Well, now they got a plethora of moisture. So yeah, it's going on there, right? They got dynamics, they got moisture, and they're going to get a bunch of rain and stormy weather, which is not atypical for them. That's the Gulf Coast pushing up a lot of humidity. Look at that. Look at the humidity, the dew points in these areas. So, right, so there's the fuel, and they will see some dynamics with it. And you can see the dynamics. Let's see if we can see them. That first round of dynamics come through. So look in the Midwest. See that area, that moisture coming up, and then see right here, see those wind barbs? We've looked at these before. These are wind barbs, upper air, but they're showing sort of a southwesterly flow. The sticks at the end are the feathers of the arrow. So that's the direction that line is flying. I just look at them as like they're arrows. So that's some wet stuff, right? And then you'll see the direction change, right? And then it becomes more northeasterly. So I just went through a lot, but you know what we'll do? We'll do it again tomorrow, and we'll do it again and again and again and again until you get it. Because I think it's all pattern recognition. The models are good and they're getting better. But you don't need people. You can do this. And I know, again, if you're watching this channel, you're in. I know you are. So let's learn how to do it together. And then I love a lot of you guys, this is today's forecast. A lot of you guys chime in, and I get lots of nuggets from you guys. Like somebody chimed in on the Eagles last night and said, Bill, they get as big as the parents before they fly. And today we'll look at the Eagles, and they're big. What else? It's weird. My wife goes, you never talk in the morning, because I don't like the mornings that much, even though they're awesome. But when I just doing this, it makes me talk. Like, it's exciting. I just love weather. I love weather way too much, but we all do. It's freaking the thing. I have notes here. I want to make sure I stay on somewhat of track. Lake Tahoe today is going to be 61 degrees. These are the temperatures for today. Redding is 78. Nice. San Francisco 63. Sacramento 72, a little below average. Fresno 72. Santa Barbara 62. And Los Angeles 65 degrees. I'm going to check that off. I'm trying to make sure I hit certain beats. And then let's look nationally. And then you can see, here's the jet stream, right? Remember we did this yesterday. Something like this, right? I think so. Right? Warm air below, cold air above. And pretty soon you're going to go, hey, wait a minute, there's a pattern. And I recognize that pattern. And when your friend at the cocktail party who has surfed like twice but knows everything about wind and waves, you're going to go, I don't think so, brother. I think the jet stream's a little further south than that. And that won't, right? You'll figure it out. These are the forecast numbers for today. It's very warm down here. Very, very warm down here. And that's where remember that the warmth, there's some high dew point in here as well because it's coming this way. So what do we got? Yeah, looking at this, and then cool, right? These are the daytime highs. That's in Montana, near Glacier, 37 degrees for a daytime high. Boise, 61. Yeah, awesome. What an awesome place we live. I'm inspired today. Okay, so these are the fire weather warnings. These are my least favorite warnings. Snow warnings, I'm like, yeah, it's snowing, something to think about, raining, but when you get into these are the ones that worry me, even more than hurricane things, just because it's so, not unpredictable, but it's so scary. You live in California, we all have PTSD from it. Oh, guys working outside still, but we'll just work through it. Tearing out some concrete. So, okay, so those are the watches. Mainly there's fire concerns in Colorado, Utah. Did I hit Utah? A little bit into Utah, a little bit in New Mexico, Arizona, Oklahoma, wow, Texas. So a lot of fire concerns, millions of people in a fire, red flag warning. Here are I hope that sounds not too annoying to you. Here are the forecast rain for tomorrow. We'll talk about cold fronts again, but one of the things I could point out, we talked about yesterday. So see the cold fronts, right? Those blue points, this is the way the front's going. Blue represents cold, red represents a warm front. Which way is the warm front going? It's going that way. Cold front's going this way. They almost always do those directions. But what you see here are some you get lift. Remember we talked about cold fronts being low to the ground. You're getting lift along the ground, so you're getting scattered showers in this area. And you can kind of see what we talked about. Well, they're showing scattered showers up in Inyo County. But that, and again, here you see more lift here, and you see the rain right behind it. So just not a great example. Pattern recognition, my friend. This is, okay, so we did the weather. What's going to happen? Got some drizzle today to the tune of a drizzle, like 10th of an inch, eighth of an inch, 100th of an inch, not an eighth of an inch, 100th of an inch. We're going to see temperatures warm tomorrow, Friday. We're going to warm further or mild on Saturday. So temperatures will be in the upper 60s, low 70s for most of the state, even Sacramento. Let's say Sacramento goes into the mid and upper 70s. And then we cool off as we go into Saturday night, Sunday, Monday. And then we just kind of stay in a spring-like weather pattern with breezy conditions from times. This is... I hope that noise doesn't bug you. Can you hear it? It bugs me, but then I'm like, they're doing it. They're getting it done. I was going to mention, this is Smith River Basin. This is the High Divide. It's a hill up there. Just see the fog when you see the Smith River. That fog likes to go up the river basins, right? Because it's low lying. And we're at what we are, like 2,200 feet. So that's up in the north coast, where temperatures today will be in the upper 50s, low 60s. That's a new camera. We've never done that one. I think this is Clear Lake, Walker Ridge and Clear Lake. We're at 2,733 feet. And I did a deep dive into Clear Lake. Oops, sorry. Clear Lake is the largest natural freshwater lake entirely in the United States. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I thought about it, and I go, yeah, I guess so. And that's because Lake Tahoe is partially in Nevada. The largest clear water lake, it's a volcanic crater. The lake is 43 square miles. That's pretty big. I haven't been to Clear Lake in a while, but that's pretty darn big. They do struggle with algae blooms, but because of the algae blooms or because of the vegetation up there, and fish life, osprey, eagles, and heron, which is always a good sign of healthy environment. They have had problems up there in the past with some mining practices that put some stuff in the soil that was less than desirable. There's a volcanic crater. The Pomo Indians, very prominent in this area, and they were there for thousands of years. And they, of course, were the original people. And there's still some Pomos around. I've bumped into a few over the years. You got to dig, though. And I always say, if I was an Indian, I would have a T-shirt, because I would be so proud to be an Indian. I mean, I'm proud to be me. But I'm also like, wow, you guys. So, besides getting, all the bad things that happened, but just knowing that you're from here, this is your land kind of thing. I won't get into that. Pomo Indians, Clear Lake, volcanic crater, largest freshwater lake in the contiguous state of California. I just say California. And Tahoe, you would think, but no, because it's in Nevada, some of it. Okay, Lake Almanor, this has great memories for me. You're looking towards the north. Lake Almanor, temperature today will go about 67 degrees, 68 degrees, and it's a beautiful lake. One of my favorite, was a kid, we'd go over the back from Paradise. You could take dirt roads from Paradise to Almanor. Take forever, go by Butt Lake and all those, but it was magical. And back in the day, a lot of 49ers, can't remember the guys' names, but a lot of them had, 49ers they were back then, they play football in the winter, the fall, and then in the off season they would sell cars or whatever. But a lot of them bought homes up here at the resort. I can't remember what the resort's called. Clear Lake or Lake Almanor. This is the Whitney Portal. Yes, that is a live picture. These are all live pictures as of this morning at 9:30. And this is the picture is the elevation of the camera is at 5,000, but we know Whitney goes up over 14,000. And they got the clouds and low clouds. Not as much vertical development today because you'd think there's a chance for showers for sure, but I didn't look at the lapse rate today. There's a chance for thunder showers, I'm sure, but not quite as robust as it was yesterday up on the hill. And then this is a different new camera. This is Rosemont, near Arvin, looking towards Arvin, Highway 14. And I put this in, you're looking toward the, kind of towards the northwest. And you can see the little clouds like fog, right? But I put this in because I just think, look where you live, that you can, with the climate that we're seeing, like what we just did from Crescent City to the Central Valley to, you know, I mean, it's just like, it's beautiful. And it's, this high desert is part of our state. So sometimes we forget, like I grew up, I kind of forgot about the Eastern Sierra because I don't know why. We almost left it for the guys in Los Angeles. We spent our time, my time was spent from Lake Almanor up to Mount Shasta as a kid. And my dad was a huge outdoorsman, as you know. And so we spent hours on dirt roads with him smoking cigarettes in the front seat with the windows shut so can't get the dust in. So I'd be just, you know, smoking cigarettes right along with him and my mom. I loved it though. Great memories. And they'd never put the radio on. Like this is a time of some of the best music ever in the 50s or 60s. Like freaking early Elvis, freaking Eddie Cochran, all these great bands. And they were playing them on the radio, on the AM. And we'd just have to talk and smoke. Pretty awesome memories. So Lake Tahoe today is going to be, or Palisades Tahoe today is going to get into the low 60s again. I think they got almost into the mid 60s yesterday. This is Ocean Beach. Kind of looks okay today. There's a guy going out right here. See, I already did weather, so now we can just do this. See the guy right here? Now, if I had time, if my camera wasn't going to run out of time, but see that guy? It's a nice if I got time, I'll sit and watch him because he's in a bad spot. He's paddling out right on the reef, right on the sandbar. See it? Like, where are you going, bro? You go over here. And that's the way to get out. Now, I know it just reset. And I'm not criticizing our friend here, but he's going right out on the sandbar. See the inside sandbar? See how it ledges up? So it goes from deep to shallow real fast. So at some point, if we sit here, if I had enough time and you were patient, we could watch this guy. And he's going to be there for a while. Now, if it was me, I would go over here. See right there? You're out. You see, that's it right there. You're out pretty quick. And you get a tug, right? Because there's a rip current that'll pull you out. The key to Ocean Beach is number one, fitness. You cannot, if you don't respect that place, fitness-wise, people go, why do you stay? I'm for an old guy, I'm okay fit. But I work out all the time just because if I don't, I'll never get to surf there again because you need to freaking be strong. Guys, I'm impressed he's going out. Awesome. Okay, so this is Monterey. This is, I want to say it's Kayakers Beach or something like that. Monterey today is going to go 60 degrees. I didn't write anything down here for this camera. I should have. But Monterey, you see the clouds and fog. So again, we're just showing you what the state is all about. And this is more surf. This is Halama, which looks like a fun day. You see a couple folks out there, and you don't need to worry about channels here, even though there's a rip current going out this way. See, the waves come in, and then the water has to go somewhere. So it comes out through these deep water channel, right? So that's all a rip current is, and they vary. They vary. I have seen every kind of rip current imaginable. And when I was a kid, and they still do this, and in TV they did it too. I got caught in a rip current, unforeseeable, and kind of like it's like this devil in the water, like watch out. It's like no, it's pretty predictable. You can see what a riptide's doing, and if you can't, you don't need to be in the water, man. Like if you're just like that guy going out, if you don't have a wetsuit and a surfboard, you got no business going out because that's all rips. That's all. The ocean is just, when you get big enough swell, it's all got to go somewhere and go back out. That's when the rips get going. Hawaii too. I've seen it in Hawaii a bunch. This is, come on, buddy. Where are we? I'm gonna cheat. Where are we? Oh, I'll tell you, we're in Nicaragua. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I told you, a new camera. We did everything. We just got to do the Eagles now. This is the new camera. This is Nicaragua. Swell's 2 to 4. By the way, the swell up here is going to go 2 to 4 for the next few days and then bumps up a little bit. But no big changes. Nicaragua. Yeah. There's some really good surf down there. Looks a little slow, but sometimes days like that are really fun. And then these are the birds that I want to say the babies, but they don't look very babyish to me. They're getting big when they stand up. That's mama, and the sun's coming up. I know I should give you a lie, but I kind of like it when we can kind of toggle the line and find some interaction where they're, look how big they are. So look, I mean, almost as big, what are they eating? Almost as big as, not as mama yet, but isn't that crazy? So this nice woman, I think it was a lady, texted me and said, yeah, they're as big as the parents, or almost as big as the parents when they leave. That's beautiful. Probably, that's stunning. It looks like that's a terrestrial animal as opposed to aquatic that they're eating. Got a little wind up there too. It makes sense. And they've got a little weather too. It's a little drizzly up in that area. Not foreseeing snow, but the wind's going to be a thing. You can see the down blowing off the birds. Isn't that awesome? Okay, well, awesome day. We did a bunch. We talked about the drizzle and how that's not rain, and no, I didn't see it coming. We talked about the models, right? We saw jet stream, 500 millibar, and how that energy impacts the fuel, and they both have to have anything worthwhile, have to have they have to phase together, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what happened today, but it was a weak phase. We talked about Clear Lake, because that's awesome, and it's the largest lake in California, freshwater lake entirely in the state of California, and the Pomo Indians own that place, and they still do. Like I said, if I was a Pomo Indian, I'd have a T-shirt, and I'd go move up there, and I would go, this is me, this is my house, here's my T-shirt, I'm a Pomo Indian, and you're visiting. You're just lucky to be here. And what else? Okay, we did it. All right, you guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging in. I hope I didn't go too long, too short. Love the comments. It did punch through some of the algorithm yesterday. And again, because I'm competitive, and I was trying to hide it for a while. Like I am me, but I also, my wife goes, you're so competitive, and I just am. So I want to crush. I really do. And if I don't, that's fine. I'll stay here with you guys, but let's crush together. So if you leave comments, that's awesome. I love the comments quite a bit. And I have learned a lot from you guys. That's the other thing is I don't know how much time I got, but when you live in the Bay Area, when I started in weather, I knew everything, right? When you're young, you know everything. And I had a lot of, I was at Berkeley, I had a lot of, atmospheric science at San Francisco. Just had a lot of, years in college, like probably too many years in college. But I came out, I knew everything. And as I've gotten older, I've realized I don't know everything, but back then I thought I did. And again, I didn't realize when I got on Channel 2 that I was going to be blasting out to the Northern Hemisphere, because kind of that's how big it was. It was a huge station, because back then cable was big, but it was terrestrial. It was going through the air, radio waves, a lot of it for people who didn't. But Berkeley, Stanford, Hayward State, San Francisco State, Chabot College, academics everywhere, smart people everywhere. So English teachers everywhere. So they would just, it was like piling on. It was like, okay, hey, because I was just a young surfer. And I mean, I knew stuff, but I got pounded, and it was awesome. Because it was a sick pounding. It was like an initiation. But then we all became friends, because they're like, no, that's wrong. That's not the way the atmosphere works, or you got the hypsometric equation wrong. Not that I would ever present that on here, but you know what I mean? So that way it was an education unto itself. Just being on TV and talking. For instance, if I said, well, further down the road, you get 10 letters, handwritten letters from English teachers or professors that know, well, here's the thing with further and farther. Farther can be measured, farther can be measured. Further is an estimation. So, I mean, it's nonstop, and it's awesome. I don't make them, the temperatures are going to cool today. Temperatures don't cool. Temperatures get lower or higher. Temperatures are numbers. Temperatures get lower or higher. They don't cool. I know you're like, whatever, but no, it was like nonstop, and it was an awesome education. All right, good day. Having fun. Enjoy the day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.